I'm trying to jump to another topic and stop bashing Nintendo.
I always can bash Nintendo, but we can
move on.
They were my first love. They left me behind. It broke my heart, man.
You want to jump onto something, Joe?
Well, I'm going to jump ship and completely change topics if it's cool with you guys.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about games a little bit. So in Noice Entertainment, we talk about a lot of different things. So music, most of us in the room musicians. What is the one album, I guess that you would say that changed your life, or that you can identify with most of it? If you look back over the history of listening to music, like what album just stands out in your mind? Anybody want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure. Yeah.
I'll go first. So there's been a lot of great music, a lot of good music, a lot of great bands that I still listen to, and multiple albums and cross membership and things like that. But if I had to think over my whole life, the one album that probably sticks out the most is probably going to be The Silver Chord by the Classic Crumb.
Wow, that is an interesting choice. That is interesting.
It is, but I think that album just, and a lot of times music's that way. It can mean something different 3 weeks than it does today or tomorrow. That album just hit me at a point in my life where everything from the first song to the last song of that album, I just needed to hear. You know what I mean? It was at a point in my life where I needed that album more so than I enjoyed listening to it, and I think it sort of influenced who I became and sort of how I view life, I guess, which is a broad, generalized conception. But it was a great album. So Classic Crumb, kudos. If you hadn't heard it, check it out. And that would probably be it for me.
I want to talk about the album for just a second, because it is a great album. I argue that the first Classic Crumb album is better, but why I love that album is its backwards thinking kind of thing. Not backwards thinking in a bad meaning. Is how the first track is called The End, and the end talks about how I'm not your savior, I'm not your all this or whatever. And then you go through the whole album and you get to the beginning, which is the last song. And the last song talks about every time I'm close to the Holy Ghost, I seem to let her go. And it parallels, for me at least, life and how I'm not trying to force Christianity or religion into this at all, but how in that point in my life when that album came out, I felt like I shouldn't be with who I was with, and it eventually went the way I thought it would, and ended up splitting, and it was just like a foreshadowing that line in that last album, in that last song of that album.
So what would your album though be?
My album would be and
I get points for my album, but what would your album?
It's gonna be, I think, upsetting to our friends that are watching, because I normally love punk. I love punk to death. I've got many punk albums and all that, but I'd have to go with my all-time favorite album is Emery the Question. It's probably my favorite album of all time, because every song on that is different, and every song on that, other than the chorus, does not repeat itself. Everything is different in that album. In that song, every song, even the rhythms change. Like you'll have the first track opens up, and you go along with it, and it screams at one point, and then that same pattern is in the second verse, but it doesn't scream right there. Instead, it goes to a melodic version. And everything just keeps, it is not a recycled thing. They really thought everything through, and just worked. I feel like they worked really hard on that album. Emery's probably one of my favorite bands of all time, along with Thrice. But
Weird you said, I got two.
You got two?
I got two.
Go
One of them is The Week's End.
Which is a great album. Which is a great album. Yeah.
That's because I guess the main thing I like about that one was me and Joel were in high school in technology class together, and we were on peer volume.
Yeah, we stumbled
across them, and we were like, "This is really good." And then we found out they had an album, and I guess I never really listened to a lot of music, and that's kind of what branched everything off.
And to try and go back, but we're from rural South Georgia, obviously from the accents. But when I stumbled across The Week's End, that album completely changed the entire avenue of music that I listened to.
Yeah,
I grew up on country, and that was pretty much all we knew existed until I was 12. And we come across this album, and had a little bit of spiritual ties into it. The point was in my life, and with more of the I don't know what you would call it, alternative emo, hardcore, whatever you want to peg in there. Those guys are pretty broad stroke. They branch out. So, but to find that album, I would say, yeah, they definitely changed my view of music and kind of led me into a different direction. So
that's about the same. It's like maybe there's more out there. And then my second one is Discover the Waterfront.
Silverstein.
Oof.
It's
right there. It's right there in my heart.
That's a good album.
It's always been a guilty emo pleasure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That hands down made them my favorite. And every album they come out with is always different.
So if you had to choose between one of the two, which one would you go with? Because I'm gonna have to do the same thing.
Gotta make a choice, bro.
I'll tell you both. I'll tell you both of mine, and then I've got to.
I'm curious. I'm very curious.
Probably Silverstein.
Silverstein.
They just.
Whoa.
I know.
I don't know, bro.
Well, and too, a lot of what we said about video games we go back to. It's not necessarily that it was the greatest, and it wasn't that it was bad. It wasn't the greatest game ever. It was a lot of even these album choices. A lot of them are old, so I'm sure nostalgia plays a large part of that. Where you were in your life, so
huge.
But Discover the Waterfront is.
It's a good album. It's a great album.
You know, O'Shane's got a new project started called was it Oak Rivers?
Something like that.
It's Oak Rivers.
You let me hear it. It's really good.
He pretty much does like the Almost started up.
Cool.
He plays everything himself.
Awesome.
All instruments. He plays everything. He's got like 3 songs out.
Oak Rivers.
I think it's Oak Rivers.
I'll check it out.
It's something like that. I got it on the computer. I can let you listen to it.
Cool.
Well, mine.
What you got, Corey?
There's 2, and I'll end up giving my verdict on which one I'd have to go with, because I always think of it like me and some bandmates and stuff. I don't know if you did it with us in one of the bands we were in or not.
The top 10 or whatever.
We did like the top 10 albums
that was
of
a
all
hard
time,
list.
and it was rough. And I mean, the thing is, like, you have to look at us like what we're into and everything. We realize that we're not saying these are the greatest albums of all time.
No.
I'm saying mine is the greatest album of all time.
these are our personal favorites that molded us in some kind of way. Mine, first one that comes to mind is Rise Against. Revolutions Per Minute. It was their second one. I remember.
That's a great album.
I remember hearing Like the Angel for the first time.
Oh, that's such a great
hearing
song.
that bass line, man.
Oh,
That was just
so
awesome,
good.
man.
It's so good.
And that whole album, I can listen to that album on my worst day, my happiest day. Whatever it does, if I'm happy, it brings me up even further.
Yeah.
And then if I'm down, it levels me out and brings me into a better mood. Because it's like start to finish on the album is
Super
great.
good.
And Tim's voice on that is the tip top shape that he ever sang on an album. But even though that was great, and it's hard for me to say it, it's really hard for me to say it.
What's you gonna say?
My favorite album ever.
It's gonna be Boys to Men.
You guys, you have to know me.
If he says Boys to Men, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind.
I would go more Temptations.
Okay.
But it's got to be Hot Water Music's No Division.
I should have known.
Man, that album, the first time that I really got into Hot Water Music, I'd heard them before and everything, and I was like, yeah, they're pretty cool, not really my thing, because Hot Water Music is kind of like an alcoholic beverage. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah,
but
sure.
once you get used to it, and you just you have a taste for it. And the thing with Hot Water Music is just it's a brashness. It's a passion kind of thing, and that rubbed off on me and my musical taste, style, the way I play, and everything else. And it all stems back to a video. We used to have. I remember back in high school, we'd get and even afterwards, we'd buy the music DVDs and stuff like that. And we had a Warped Tour. I don't remember what year it was, but Hot Water Music was on there, and they played the song No Division. And I remember seeing that video and Chuck Reagan just beating the guitar, just going with it, and then they were just singing and everything was coming out so rough and everything. And like at the time, I was just like, these dudes are insane. But you get it later on. At least I do. It's like, no, they felt it. They felt it in their bones. They felt it within their soul. Everything they were saying. And that No Division, man. Like I think about us. I think of us, our group of friends, my past group of friends. Like a lot of my friends are married and have kids and everything else. And friendships end up doing that over time. Time and age makes you grow apart and everything else. But I think of No Division. I think of my old crew, like Ben and John and Ray and Keith and Eric and like guys I used to hang out with a lot. And I think about No Division because it's just like nothing will ever break that bond. Yeah. And you know, Jason and Josh and Ruben and people like that we every weekend, kind of like we do now, but we don't get to as much anymore because, I mean, we're all older and we have jobs and everything else. We have our responsibilities. But back in those days, man, it was a party every weekend. Every weekend. We were always doing something. It was great. And I think about those times, and then there's a song on there. I can't remember the name of it because that's another album that I
don't know the names of songs.
I pop it in and I just go with it.
Yeah.
But there's other things in there, man. There's a lyric in there on one of the songs. It's like, lead your heart and never follow it. And
falling song.
And you know, man, that is so true, man. Because like in life, everybody wants to throw out the term "follow your heart." Yeah. Man, that's gonna get you messed up every time. You gotta protect your heart because that's the most fragile part of you. It can hurt you deep in your soul and everything else. And I think about those lyrics and the way they sing it. It's like, "Lead your heart and never follow." You know, it's amazing, man. So that's got to be mine. It's influenced me heavily, and that's another one that I put it on and I just go to pointing in the car and singing at the top of my lungs. That's got to be it.
I mean, that's crazy.
Let's say something weird about this. All of our favorite albums, we've all met someone from that band.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd. I just thought about it.
I've shook hands and had brief little chats. Like, don't expect them to know me or remember me or anything like that. But Mark and Tim.
I can never pronounce his last name because I'm Canadians. Weird French names. The lead guitarist.
Who?
For Silverstein.
Oh.
I can never pronounce his last name. But we were at Warped Tour and he come up talking to me about how the difference between Netflix in Canada and the U.S. and how the U.S. has better Netflix and everything else. I was like, we just sitting there just talking and BSing around for about 30 minutes.
Me and Joel, man, they were playing with Emery in Jacksonville. Joel's band Misplaced Shoreline, check them out. They were playing with Emery, and we were standing outside. I was standing outside with whoever was not in the band, and Joel and them were inside. And this guy walks out the tour bus, and I'm like, is that Matt McDonald from the Classic Crime? And everybody's like, I don't know. So
that was a rad show because you had Matt from the Classic Crime playing with Emery, so that was a really cool mashup.
It was
for that tour, but
it was awesome. And I googled him just to make sure that was him, and I held up his picture and looked
before
at him.
I totally run up to this stranger and make an ass of myself. Maybe this is you.
And then I walked up to him and I said, "Are you the singer from Classic Crime?" And he was like, "Yeah, man." And I said some stupid terrible
girl.
let me do some sexual things to you. And I remember touching him for no reason, and him looking at me like that. And then I told Joel, I was like, "Joel, Matt McDonald's out here from Classic Crime." And then we went over there and talked up again, and it was just really cool meeting him.
I remember, like, first time I saw Rise Against, a buddy of mine, Andy, and me went, and so we need to wrap this up. But I remember seeing Tim. He was just outside eating some French fries. We catch up, and people were trying to go up and bother him and stuff. I was like, leave that dude alone, man.
He just wants some French
fries.
fries.
Man. Just leave him alone.
For real.
But yeah, that was cool.